Welcome back everyone. So we're at Banham Zoo, continuing the tour of every zoo in the country, and today I'm joined by Liana.
Hello.
I'm normally quite critical of aviaries and zoos. They're usually quite small, with not much space to fly around. Look at Chessington. These are at the entrance of the zoo, and they have a lot more space to fly around, especially the Caracara over here. Like, it is from the end there, all the way to that door there. That's a nice space for them. There's a pair in there. This is the Eureka walkthrough environment. There are sloths in here, lots of birds. One thing I really like though, is the birds have this great safe space where they can go eat. They can't be disturbed, but they can still can't see you because it's just this big gap. So you can see them easily through the glass, but they can go somewhere where you cannot access them. It's a nice private space. Something in modern zoos I always find interesting is what's there for the animal and what's not there for the animal, what there's for the person, the customer. So this dense foliage is really for the animals. It's good for perching environments. If the bird goes into there, it's going to be harder for the customer to see it, so it's actually not of a benefit to the customer because it just gives a place for the animal to hide. Then we get areas like this. It's just concrete. The animal doesn't benefit from this at all. Nowhere to perch on it. It just looks nice. That's for the customer. That's for the sights. It looks nice, it's pretty. The animal doesn't benefit. That could be a concrete square block and the animal wouldn't care. But the customer cares because it looks prettier. Once it spreads over there, it looks natural. And that's what's nice to consider in these environments is what's theirs for the animal, what's theirs for the customer. That ball of fur there is their new sloth. This is a margay enclosure and I can't see the cat anywhere, but up here they've hung some fur, I'm guessing from one of the animals they've had shorn here. There's enrichment, and I really like that. That's a nice bit of sense enrichment to have some animal fur from one of the other animals. Just don't see the cat. I mean, it has a lot of undergrowth to hide in, which is really nice. Animals should have that kind of space to hide and be away from the public if they want to. The margay only arrived in March and it came from Port Lyme. So that means it's part of the European breeding program, which is really good they're part of that because that's going to help so many species. So even more impressive that they've got it here for the breeding program. This is a Pallas cat and it has the thickest fur of any mammal. The blue-eyed black lemur is the only primate outside of humans to have blue eyes. Just a cool little fact. So Banham Zoo have moved a lot of their ringtails to Africa Alive, that's why they've not got a walkthrough anymore. They do appear to have this small enclosure still here. Almost a little bit sad though, because I think the old walkthrough enclosure was a lot larger and a lot nicer for them. It's like a step down for the ringtailed lemurs. There's a baby spider monkey!
Spider monkey, spider monkey.
This is the Wallaby walkthrough, but it used to be the ring-tailed lemur walkthrough. And this is what I think is strange. I get that they've moved the ringtails to Africa Alive, so they can be of a larger troop. It's weird that they still have ringtails though, and they took the ringtails out of this enclosure, rather than taking the ones in the small enclosure and taking those to Africa Alive. This enclosure is really good for ring-tailed lemurs. An interesting fact about giraffes, they have the same amount of vertebrae in their neck as humans do, 7, but they're massive. They also have the longest laryngeal nerve in the animal kingdom, so instead of going from the brain to the larynx, the heart forms as an embryo above the nerve, then as the embryo develops, the heart moves down the body, the neck grows, and the heart takes the nerve with it. So the nerve starts in the brain, goes all the way down the neck, around the heart, and then back up to the larynx. So this is the giraffe paddock here. They've only got a couple of stations for browsing here, so you've got one browse station there and one there. And that one has got an enrichment container as well, so that's good. One thing I do like is that little walkway out there. You can do the feeding experience to take you down there, and you can be at head height feeding the giraffes. I have done it in the past. It is a pretty cool experience. This coppery titty monkey has a baby on her back. There she is. Vultures can be quite difficult to breed in captivity, and it's one thing I'll give Banham Zoo credit for, is they have got a pretty good breeding program and successfully have bred vultures quite a lot. And they've got some nice information over here about the problems vultures face in the wild, from poisoning, being seen as pests and hunted. So it's good to educate. I think there are species that are a little bit misunderstood as being like, I think a lot of people view them as quite an ugly bird because they go eat carcasses and things. But that's an important job they do in the ecosystem to clear up the dead so the disease don't spread. So they're an essential part of an ecosystem that we should probably protect. Look at this, like a single dead elephant can feed 100 vultures. Obviously if that elephant's then poisoned, it kills 100 vultures. It's a big problem. I praised the aviaries at the beginning of the zoo. These here are the kind of standards I tend to criticise at zoos. Like, these are for owls, and they are tiny, with most of the back being a hill. It's just not as good as what they've got at the front, and these are the kind of aviaries I think they should be moving away from. A lot of zoos are moving away from. So hopefully Banham Zoo will do the same in the long run, move these to the larger enclosures, maybe other zoos, and just put new aviaries or new enclosures here. And then here in the middle of the zoo we've got some slightly larger owl enclosures that are better standard. Not quite as good as the ones at the front, but better than the ones we were just looking at. The female has the markings, which is this one here, and that's so they can better camouflage on nests, whereas the males are white, better camouflage for hunting. This exhibit is just about how all the rubbish you throw away is damaging the oceans. White-clawed crayfish are our only native species of crayfish and are actually endangered. Here at Banham Zoo they are rearing them and re-releasing them back into Norfolk in safe sites. We've got this royal python exhibit here. And he's managed to avoid all of his main exhibit and climb up to the heater. These have all been donated by HM Customs, so they're all things that people tried to bring into the country from airports illegally. So crocodile skin shoes, a very well painted turtle shell. Over here we have a tusk, so obviously ivory, and a hippo tooth. I've never seen this before, and it's very impressive. The Howler monkeys can get out of there. They've got obviously this electric fencing around there to prevent them climbing down the side of the enclosure. Then this walkway that goes all the way through these trees just above us. But they can't get down the trees again because there's electric fences halfway down the trees. Because they can actually just come outside of the enclosure. It gives them a lot more space to go and explore, just wandering down there. I don't know how often they use it, but I have never seen that at a zoo before. Well, I made a comment on do they come outside very much, and I think they clearly do. Because there's all three of them. That is really cool. The baboon enclosure is really good. So you've got the house there, then they have an outside area here, which I'm guessing at some point in the past was just that. That's all they got, whatever animal was in here then. But they fitted this overhead walkway, which goes into a much larger exhibit over here for them to explore. They've got herb gardens around here, and these herbs are used in some of the animals' diets and for enrichment. Gotta love that enrichment. There is a little woodland walk. I think something that's easily missed and not taken, but there are animals on it. So there's crowned crane at the end, and I believe the aviary in front contains owls. We'll see in a minute. Barn owl box there, obviously not in use, to show you how they look. Never going to nest in it there. Yes, white-faced owl, if we're lucky enough to see it. It's had some food put out for him. I'm going to guess it's in that box there, because there's no sign of an owl anywhere else in here. They're fact sheets about native species on the Woodland Walk. Nice to hear about native species. It has, again, like we've seen at other zoos, a bit showing you British Sign Language for the animal, so deer there. The map stated there were cranes here still. The enclosure's empty. This, looking at it, hasn't been in use for a while, so the map's just a little out of date they have on the park. No cranes. Just the one owl, which we didn't see. The rat enclosure is designed like a kitchen. These are the zebu then, our new arrivals. Not been here very long. In the petting zoo area. It's quite an interesting animal for a petting zoo. You don't see zebus in British zoos that often. That brings us to the end of Banham Zoo. It's been quite a few years since I've been here, and I think it's made quite a few improvements actually. The Howler monkeys, that bit where they can come out of their enclosure, walk along, I think is my favourite add-on.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I was going to say the exact same thing. The way that was done was brilliant, yeah.
It is really good. Like, I didn't expect it, because Banham has never had anything like that, I don't think. No. I think I'm also a little bit disappointed that ring-tailed lemur-wise, they moved the troop that had the really nice walk-through enclosure to Africa Alive and left the other troop in the small enclosure. I'd like to know why they did it that way around.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to do that, really.
No, I would have moved the small troop to Africa Alive and had a nice big troop from that, and then kept the walk-through. Because Wallaby walk-throughs are like everywhere.
They're just
I suppose wallabies are very easy to walk through with though. They're not really, they don't get as stressed. Maybe I suppose part of it is lemurs get a bit stressed. If you around, maybe there's a welfare thing of why not to have lemurs in there. You can see development here.
Yep.
There's definitely new enclosures, things that have been improved. There is still a lot of room for improvement. Some of those aviaries, some of the primate enclosures are quite small, but then the baboons are in that massive enclosure now, like the old outside area, and then I bring to the bridge across that massive outdoor bit. That's fantastic. And if they do that for all of them, it's up there. The
sloths were cool. The new additional sloths.
Yes, new sloth in there. Didn't see too much of them, but they are rarely active in zoos. So that's there. Apparently one of them hides away quite a lot. The new one is more out. But if you're lucky, you'll probably see them moving around. I think the tamarins and marmosets have a series of islands. It's the pied tamarin.
Yes.
Have a series of islands. We don't actually get to see them, but they've got quite a lot of outside islands. Like you get lemur islands and things in a lot of zoos. So that's good, especially for such a small animal, because there's so much space. The disadvantage to the public is it makes them very hard to see, but that's almost good for the animal. I always support animals having places to hide and be away from the chitty chatty public who are going to disturb them. So they all should have hiding places. The main walls again, I don't think I even really showed them here because we didn't see them. They do have them here. Leanne was very intrigued to see them and was not lucky enough.
I'm coming back for the wolf.
I don't think I've ever seen them here. I think they're always hidden away. I did say we might go to Hamilton Zoo at some point. They have them and they're very active there. I've seen them there a lot. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. I'm sold. I'll see you at Hamilton, guy.
Maybe that one comes soon then, by the sounds of it. Yeah, I think we'll leave it there today, guys. Thank you for joining me. I hope to see you next time. Bye.